Human trafficking is an illegal act
that forces people, mostly women and children, into hard labor, slavery, and sexual exploitation.
It exists because there's a high demand for cheap labor, products, and pornographic materials. And so organized criminal syndicates continue to supply sex and work slaves. Despite efforts to kill this horrible industry, as in the 2003 Anti-Trafficking in Persons Act of the Philippines,
this market-driven racket thrives to this day.
It is estimated that there are 27 million slaves around the world, with an average cost of a slave around $90. Without a doubt, human trafficking is a big evil. It destroys not only the victims' dreams but their very lives, dragging their families and our country down with it. And for what, $90 of profit? How can local recruiters have the audacity to manipulate their families and friends, give false promises, lie through their teeth just for a measly amount? Is that how cheaply they value life? A low-end cell phone costs more than this. If it were their own mother, sister, or daughter, would they want the same monstrous fate to befall them? As Plato once said, all the gold within or under the earth is not enough to give in exchange for virtue. It's definitely high time for recruiters to think about the consequences of their actions. It's sad to know that some families use their own children in child labor as a means to cope for their financial difficulties. There are so many other ways to earn, like farming, crafting, selling, or even working as a housekeeper. Yes, the income is very low and it's not a nice job, but at least their children
won't have their childhood taken away from them.
If these parents let their children do men's work, they're just asking to be taken away from them, physically and emotionally. Minors who work away from their parents are most likely to never see their families again, and then harbor resentments towards their parents. These vulnerable children won't even realize that they're slowly led to sexual exploitation. They will still feel betrayed, and it's all because of their parents who are too selfish to think about the well-being of their children. Trafficking can never answer people's financial woes. They may think it's easy to see money now, but what will their lives be like when they're old?
They will look back to this so-called career and feel repentance, misery, and loneliness, owing to the fact that their whole adult life consists of lies and malicious tasks.
There's no fulfillment or peace for these traffickers, as they'll be haunted by the victim's family and their own sins. Nothing can repay for these women's dignity. Knowing these consequences, why would these recruiters waste their lives in this job? As one philosopher once said, "I would rather die innocent than live my life with guilt." The reality of human trafficking is horrific. In the Philippines alone, there are 2.2 million slaves from the age of 15 to 17. There are even undocumented cases of young girls from the age of 12 who are led to prostitution dens. Our country is the main target for exploitation as tourists from Northeast Asia, Australia, New Zealand, Europe, and America come here and engage in sexual acts with children. Isn't it shameful that foreigners think of us as sex slaves? We're already known for having a corrupt government and a high population of poverty. What's worse is that young children before their 10th year of life are already scarred and their future taken away from them.
An American band called the Click 5 made a music video called Don't Let Me Go, which showed the oppression of child exploitation in the Philippines. It is sad to know that it takes foreigners to bring awareness to our problem while we ourselves don't do anything about it.
Ultimately, we should take a stand against human trafficking. We can help stop this by buying fair trade, which may be more expensive, but it will help ensure the employers get paid their just share. Moreover, we can say no to illicit strip clubs. to discourage businesses from selling sex. As for the people behind it, I hope you realize that isn't the worst thing that can happen to you. A lifetime of guilt, shame, and regret can forever take your humanity away.